All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Free Friday coaching call. It is, the middle of June. Not sure how that happened. However, want to welcome everyone. And for those of you that will be watching this on the replay, I know we have a lot of people that catch it on the replay. Want to welcome you too as you're jumping in and catching this. Looking forward to today's call. For those of you that may be joining for the first time, this call is done the first and third Fridays of the month. It's a combination of mindset and skill set for the real estate industry and for people who are wanting to continue to learn and to grow. So it's company agnostic. We're not promoting anything or selling anything here. It's really to share and exchange really incredible information that's going to support you in your journey. And so how this came about is that for those of you that were connected to Rick Jiha, which I believe is everyone that would be jumping on this call, for all of the years that he traveled around speaking and training and coaching, and he would give out his number and tell people to call him, and he meant it when he said it, and people did. And so that became a capacity issue at some level. And so he started this call as a way to have a larger conversation with a community of people that were literally spread all around the world. So we've continued it in his honor and as a commitment to learning and growing and become better at what we all do. And so these calls now are mostly interviews of people that are doing really incredible things and have developed their superpowers in beautiful ways that are here to contribute and share for the benefit of all. So for today's call, I am very, very excited. Paul Sessum, I don't even know that I realize, but we're going to find out today. I'm going to find out today after all these years of knowing you, what got you into real estate to begin with. But before we do that, for those of you that are just meeting Paul for the first time, Paul has a background in the entertainment industry and then leadership as a real estate agent, then as a Keller Williams team leader for close to 8 years. He is a master coach with Workman Success Systems, which is the premier coaching company in North America for people that are building teams and independent brokerages, growing their brokerages across the U.S. And he's somebody that has developed such an incredible set of skills in influencing and working with people that he is coach and the director of coaches for Workman Success System, which literally has hundreds of clients all across North America. So I love him because he and his wife Beth are one of Rick and I's dearest friends. We have, several years of history and friendship together. And yes, our paths have crossed in and out around business, but I'm really excited to have you on the call today, regardless of all of our past, because I know that nobody on the call today has as much time and shared experiences as we do collectively. So I'm excited to get you more integrated into our community here. So welcome to the call this morning, Paul. And for those that are just meeting you for the first time, would love to just start off with a little background on your story and how you went from entertainment to real estate. I mean,
that's such a leap, right?
it
the truth in real estate is that I've always been the armchair real estate agent, just like you have the armchair quarterback guy, right? So my entire life, I've been fascinated by real estate. I've loved the idea of the selling process of that and how does one navigate that transaction or navigate dealing with clients and all of that. So while I was in the film industry, which I was in for 17 years here in Los Angeles, which is where I'm based, maybe I should back up a little bit. So I'm a Mississippi boy. So at the heart of me, at the core of me, there's this young little Southern boy that sort of is still there that likes cornbread and black eyed peas and, just a simple life that way. And while that's all great, and I loved that growing up, I was gravitating to the arts as a young man and knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that in Mississippi. So I educated myself, got out of the South, went around the world. I traveled cruise ships, doing entertainment on cruise ships, live arts there, landed in San Francisco. And within about 6 months of being there, I was overseeing 6 theaters in San Francisco and 2 national tours. That's when I had the pleasure of meeting my lovely, dynamic, and amazing wife, Beth Bowles, who is currently, she's an actor, singer, dancer. And today, adding on to that, a social media influencer who is off the charts amazing. So she's in the other room right now, maybe listening to this. So we met in San Francisco, ultimately moved to LA and married. I got into the film industry here by accident and became a film agent and ran with some of the best in Hollywood for quite some time. So how did that lead me to real estate? One thinks, well, I had my own agency for about 6 years where I represented some very fine talent. And I merged my company with a larger company. And what I realized in that moment in time, don't negotiate for yourself. Do not negotiate for yourself. So a year after that, I was eating asphalt, and I called Beth after I was brutally kicked out of the organization, and I said, "Hey, I'm on my way home." And she says, "Why?" It was like midday. I said, "Well, this didn't work out quite the way that I thought it was going to work out, so it's over and it's done." And she was like, "Oh my God, I just ordered a bunch of stuff from Pottery Barn." I said, "That's not the issue. That's not the issue." I said, "So that's fine. We're going to be okay, hon. Don't worry about it." And she said, "So what are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to get into real estate." When I was in the film industry, I'd read 30 or 40 scripts on a weekend for film, and I would place clients into that idea. And so I was always busy reading. And my break would be to take Beth if I could. She didn't all I couldn't enroll her all the time. But I wanted her to go with me, and I would go to the open houses on Sunday, and I would say a lot of things in open houses. I had a very big mouth, actually. And it got to the point that some of the more productive agents would see me come in and say, "Don't come in. You're not allowed into our open house," because they knew that I wasn't buying it and they knew that I had an opinion. So coincidentally, later when I got into real estate, I became their manager for them as the team leader. Those same people, some of the most productive people, because we had the number one market share there. But anyway, that's how I got into real estate, and it's been a fascinating journey ever since. I've had leadership skills that I've developed out of school, and quickly when I joined Keller Williams, I just asked the team leader there. I said, "This looks like an amazing organization, and it seems like there's opportunity here." And the next thing you know, I was team leader and had 85 agents that I was overseeing in Burbank, California, and did that for quite some time. And so that's how I got here, and then ultimately into coaching. And some of you may know, not everybody knows, our son passed away about 8 years ago, and Rick and Casey were there solid as rocks for us. And I stepped back from sales and more into coaching, which is what I do a lot of now, and have recently just been delving back into what the sales market looks like today. So that's a little bit of an overview. We live in Los Angeles. We've been here for 30 some odd years now. After moving from San Francisco, we've been down here making this our home. So that's a little bit about where I got to where I'm at today, Casey. Long-winded.
No, I love it. It's, I always say that it is only when we look back are we able to connect the dots of our life. And you started off with, black eyed peas and cornbread, which you make better than anyone that I know. And like looking back from your early beginnings to where you are today and how those things go, it's beautiful to see actually the evolution, and you're continuing to to reinvent yourself. And I know that on a personal level, when you go through personal tragedy and loss like that, there's a gap, and then there's a reinvention window ultimately and eventually. And so those all of the pieces of your history and experience of what you've done have created where you're at today. And where you're at today is your launching pad for where you go moving forward. But at the end of it, what is continuous throughout your story is that you have an ability to see people, to connect with people, to influence the way that people think, and as a result of that influence, behavior. And you did that in the context of Keller Williams and being a team leader, and now the director of coaches with Workman Success Systems, all the way down to buyers and sellers that you work with as clients. That's a skill set that's been honed over several years. And one of the things I really like and admire and respect about you is that while there is systems within Workman Success Systems, you are never limited by a system, because you're always looking at how to get the best out of the human and disrupt the thinking or the behavior for a bigger possibility. And so that brings us to the topic for today. And when we look at the fact that we all have this, same 24 hours in a day, and what happens during those 24 hours is very different for different people. And what we're going to jump into today is how to really look at peak productivity in an environment that is so distracting, so that the more productive we are, ideally, the better the quality of our lives can be, because we are able to focus and, like an athlete does, create that level of productivity and live a great life, while doing that. And so I know that it's an area that I'm always looking and working to get better on and in. And so excited to open up that topic today. And so I'll, pass it off to you to do that, and just say that if anyone has comments or wants to raise their hand, we'll be watching in the chat for those to integrate into today's conversation. So take it away, Paul.
Well, and I would appreciate if you guys just opened up your mics and shouted out, right? So we don't necessarily have to be formal. I'm very adept at, like, the now is where we're at. Today is where we're at right now. Let's be here now and engage right here, right now. And so as the questions come up, let's not wait. There's not going to be a perfect time. The perfect time is when you have the question. And so our challenge that we have today, I think all of us collectively, is we live in a very distracting world. Look at what's going on here. And there's enough ding dangs going on around me constantly, and around the clients and around yourself, that it's very hard to stay focused to create the thing in your life that you want to have. And it's almost accepted, making it easier to be distracted today than ever. We all have the excuse of, oh, too much is going on, or too many distractions here, or this just occurred, or it's taking this too long. Whatever it is, we are all accepting of each other's distractions. And I question that concept a little bit of, like, well, why aren't we holding each other to a higher standard of, like, let's get focused and work on overcoming our distractions. Debbie Pelham's on this call. She knows how distracted I can be. Laura's on this call here that's been working with Casey for quite some time. I'm so distracted, I couldn't even get a bio to Laura so that there would be an actual bio to talk about today. And my thing, I sent a resume, an old resume that I haven't used in eons. I don't know where that came from. But in my distraction, I totally misfired on something that I was very intentional about. So all of us are distracted all the time and moving quickly and not bringing our focus to the game. So how do we do this? How do we actually work through this? Do any of you agree with, like, I'm just all the time distracted? There's always something in, yes, Debbie, there's always something in front of me. The news, the traffic, finances, what other parts of my physical health, my well-beingness. Just, I'm thinking about it all together as one. And when I think of it as one thing, it creates nothing but distractions, because as soon as I start thinking about my physical health, I'm going, oh, I'm letting my business down. And then I jump into my business. And it's like, oh, I've got to go run an errand to take care of something over here. And then I've got this and that and the other. And we're never focused on getting anything completed. We're jumping and moving. And a lot of it comes to our social media world, is driving us to be constantly moving from one thing to the other. Our attention span today is about 15 seconds, is what social media has trained us to be. And that's an interesting concept when we think about it. So how do we sit down, and how do we pull back, and how do we get focus in a highly distracted world? Well, the first part of that is going to be strategic prioritization. And we're going to have three parts of this today. We're going to have strategies around what's important to us, focusing on deep work, time block, so that we can focus on things to get done, and then focus, how do we develop skills to focus on one thing at a time? So when we're thinking about prioritization, the idea is, do you have a plan? Where is your plan to create the life that you would like to live? Now, I like to think of it as the whole life. Thank you for verbalizing exactly how I am, Robin. I think you're not the only one this way, right? Ding, 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 I'm all over the map. Is, how do we get focused is a plan. Do you have a plan for yourself that tells you where you want to go? If you can raise your hand, you can open the mic and say, I have my plan. Anybody want to contribute to this conversation right now? Don't be afraid. Jump in. Casey, you're raising your hand. She has a plan.
I have a plan.
You have a plan. Where is that plan right now?
It's sitting on a note in my phone, and it is bringing itself to reality.
Okay.
Like the power.
There's a note on the phone right there. Okay, so I love that place right now. Now here's a challenge. We have a note on a phone. It's a business plan of something that I want to create in my life. It's my life plan is on my phone right here. What is the challenge with it being on our phone?
Distraction from notifications.
The very thing that distracts us is right where we need to be. We're looking right at the thing that distracts us. Is that intentional? We would say not, but the truth of it is it probably is. So where's your plan that you can actually open up your plan and look at a plan and stay focused on it for a few minutes and say, this is what I'm doing. And are the things that I'm doing today getting me the results of what I would like to have in the plan? I have a plan for the month of June. It's on my wall next to my desk, working on my 5-year plan. Love that. It's on the wall so you can look and say, am I tracking to my plan right now? Are the things that I'm doing getting me the results? Am I focused on the 20% of the activities that I do that give me the 80% of the results that I'm after? The 80-20 principle. So if you have your plan like that, I'm going to share one with you that we have just as a real simple idea of creating a plan, having it written out. Sorry. Can I share my screen, Laura or Selena?
You sure can.
Okay.
Yep.
There it is. Can you guys see that right here? Oh, wrong one. This right here. This is a one-page business plan. Now, this one-page business plan is a very simple concept and idea. My goal today is to be able to give you some tools that simplify what you're doing. So if we broke this down and said, here's my 1-year plan, and I would encourage you to take this plan and make it a 1-quarter plan. We are at the half-year mark in your business right now. What can you do over the next 90 days to reach your business goals and to reach your life goals? And where is that business coming from? So I have a financial goal. I maybe have an operational goal. I maybe have a learning and development goal. I might have what are different goals that I have hiring, if I'm building a team or if I'm building an organization, if I'm having a marketing goal that I want to reach to be able to generate, simplify down to 5 things maximum that I want to focus on over the next 90 days. Let's change our 1-year plan to our 90-day plan now. This is going to be 25% in theory of your overall goal for 2024. Does that make sense? So, and we want to begin to implement this. This is a tool that you can use today, this weekend, work on this. If you need to get this downloaded, Selena can help us with that, or you can reach out to me directly and I can help you with that, is that we can get this tool to you today. This weekend, you work on what the next 90 days looks like. Now, where am I going to drive my business from exactly, or resource the outcome? Your 4 pillars, we talk about business and we talk, this is why we're here today, is that we're here to generate income, right? That's part of what we do. We're in real estate sales. We sell real estate to generate an outcome of income. And with that income, we drive a life, the life that we want to live. I believe that your 4 pillars, the business can come from different segments of your life. It doesn't necessarily all have to be related specifically to business. Here could be your sphere of influence. I want to work my sphere of influence, talk to them 3 times over the next 90 days, building my relationship in such a way that they think of me about referrals. And of course, I have to plant that seed. So that means in a way, I'm going to be asking, right? Don't forget that I'm in real estate and we're looking for business today. And it's a very complex world to navigate today. Do you know anybody who's struggling with navigating that process? Let me help them. Define the number of units you want from that. Now, maybe you have a fitness goal. That could be one of your goals that you have up there, a fitness goal. So what are you going to do about that? I need to join a gym. Do I hire a trainer? Is it a meal plan that I'm thinking about? What exactly am I going to build here and then access what I'm going to do about that? Maybe I have a goal around learning. I want to get my broker's license. Maybe I want to start working on a degree or something that takes me to a higher level of understanding. So what am I going to do to help reach these 5 pieces over the next 90 days and break that stuff down? Now, each one of these, we want to have an action plan around. What specifically am I going to do? If I'm going to talk to my sphere of influence and I'm going to speak to them once every 90 days, or I'm sorry, once every 30 days, and I have 300 people in my database, what's that number? Somebody help me do the math. That's about what, 10, 15 calls a day? That tells us what we have to focus on so that when we're getting distracted here, we come back and say, wait, where's my 15? Did I get this accomplished? And it's right here in one place. I'm not looking everywhere. I'm falling back to a one-page plan. Does this help, guys? Does this make sense? Do you have questions around this at all?
So I do.
Okay.
It's not so much a question. It is it's a strategic question based on the information that you're presenting. And it goes back to, I remember Rick would always talk about the majority of people behaviorally fall in the, IS category in life, and one or, multiples of that. And so when we would, talk goals and plans, he'd have like, 100 things written down. But and he's like, well, these are all of my goals. I don't want to leave any of them out. And they would not all have plans. And so how do you coach somebody that that just, has so many things that they are either interested in or doing, that could be distractions, but they could also just be interests in things that they want to move forward, like, to be in the context of this conversation around, peak performance and productivity, one page thing like that. Where do you guide someone?
Okay, so great question, because we all have more than 4 things or 5 things that we want to accomplish. So your ideas and all growth processes are great. Now, it's impractical to think that we're going to get 100 things done all at one time. So we don't want to lose track of the ideas. And so here we want to have a place that you write down your ideas. It's a simple spreadsheet. We call it the Agile. The Agile was developed from the software world being developed. And there were so many codes going into the software that there needed to be a way to track who was doing the codes and were they getting completed and how far along were they. So thousands of things that needed to be navigated. So they put this is your brain dump of all of those 100 pieces that I want to do. That's what I intend to do. I'm going to elevate the 4 or 5 things that I'm working on to the top and just stay focused on implementation until they're done. Once I get something done, I don't have to remember my squirrel brain. My squirrel brain doesn't have to remember what happened. I know that it's here. And then I look at it and I go, but I don't want to do that anymore. That's perfectly okay. Choose the things that you are going to do or add something new. This allows you to see everything that's going on in one spot and then create plans around that, breaking down to what does intentional prospecting look like for each one of the clients or agents or whatever. You build the plan. That way you have a place to come back to keep you centered on the process. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Thank
Right.
you.
So being intentional about everything in your business takes a little bit of focus. Now, what I'm going to encourage you guys to think about here is the focus isn't an all-day focus. You're going to have squirrel brain. Let's just be real. I do. We all do. We're going to have squirrel brain. We're going to get distracted. Sometimes I ask for it. I run out into the middle of the street to see how many cars are going to hit me or not, right? I just need to shake it up. But I can come back in my 15 minutes of focus. I come back here. I don't have to recreate it. It is somewhere. Now, our I's and our S's, or our I's and our D behaviors. Well, I'm very much a fan of these concepts of understanding. I also don't believe that that's the definition of us either. Is that the I's and the D's are a little bit more challenged with staying focused on getting anything done. Okay, we'll get 3 things done and then go live wild abandon. Get a commitment with yourself is what I'm really getting down to. Now, that said, let's raise hands. Are you in integrity with yourself? And I'm actually going to have to put my hand down because there's several things that I'm not in integrity with myself right now. So I'm going to have to own that. But are we in integrity with ourselves?
Actually, what does that mean?
Good question. Thank you, Robin. Are you doing the things that you said that you want to do?
No, I
Okay.
am that squirrel person. I've got that squirrel cage in my head, but somebody found the key and opened it up. So it's like, it's bad.
Okay, so let's switch the thought around that. We can accept that thought and stay in the space, right? Or say, you know what, it's time to make a change. So what three things can you focus on right now as we're talking? You don't have to give me an answer, but what three things can you focus on right now and write them down right now in a place that you can track and keep in front of you? When you've written those things down, just tell me. All of us do the same thing. What are the three things now? We all have some level of this. So let's take the moment. We're here now. Your time is allocated to create some movement in your business, in your life. So let's not wait until the call is over with. You've already got something else planned. Let's do it now. Write down your three things. I'm going to give you like 30 seconds or so. It shouldn't take you too long. We don't need a full description. Just write down the ideas. So as we're doing this, is everybody participating?
Got it.
Okay. So, and Debbie was just posting, she said, this is great to put this down, but you know, the discipline to come back to it and do something about it. We're going to
Yeah.
address that too, right? So this is where if you have mentorship or if you have coaching or if you have an accountability partner that helps us come back and be focused. So do you have an accountability partner, Robin?
Actually, I am reaching out to some of the gals that I've been seeing on different Zooms and meetings and stuff like that, and trying to develop a relationship with them to kind of be accountable. And Debbie, I had just emailed you the other day, trying to be accountable to my peers, I guess.
Okay, let's the words that keep coming up, and we've all heard this word, let's remove the try word out of it. Let's get into the do aspect of this. And it's like, so let's get when can you get the accountability partner in place? Let's give yourself a challenge. By when?
Probably by Wednesday next week.
That's a probably, so it may or may not happen. By when will you actually have an accountability person in place?
Wednesday next
Okay,
week by noon.
by noon. So at the end of this slide deck, I'm going to give you my phone number. Will you text me by no later than Wednesday and let me know that?
I could, but I'm a little afraid of that actually.
So I know you could. Will you is the question,
Yes, I
right?
will.
Okay, yes, you will. So there's no reason to be afraid because I'm not going to bite. I'm not going to hurt you in any way
Oh, I
whatsoever.
know that.
Right? Right.
I'm
So
afraid of myself
why?
because it comes back to that integrity thing, right? Do I have my own integrity? And I really don't even know what that is because I really am very unaccountable to
Okay.
myself and others, actually.
Okay. Is that working for you?
Absolutely not. I'm a mess.
Okay. So would it do you think it'd make a difference if you change not all things, because I'm not sure we can change all things at one time. Maybe you can't. But what if we just changed two or three things? And let's work on those two or three things and get some progress.
It's
Would
a
that make a
great place to
difference?
start.
Right. Let's not get into overwhelm, because what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing you say is that I'm unable to change everything all at once. And I'm not going to disagree with you on that. What I'm not hearing you say, and I'd like to hear you say, so I'm going to put words in your mouth, is that I'm willing to change two or three things right now. And I want to work on those until I get them integrated into my life before I take on something else. Is that what you're really saying?
I don't even know. It's I mean, I say that all the time, you know, I start out my day and it's like, I'm gonna do this and this, but I'm a major creative and I just jump, I have one thing in my head and then I just squirrel away to, oh, this would be just the greatest thing, you know, and I think of like, oh, this is gonna be a marketing plan or this is gonna be a photo album or just whatever it is. It's just, I mean, I go off and at rocket speed into the creative world.
Okay, so then stop. You know you're doing that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, stop. So distraction's natural. You know, multitasking, all these things takes a toll on us ultimately. And so the only way that you can actually get past that is to say, I know that I'm squirreling, stop, let me finish this.
Yeah.
Are you willing to be brave enough with yourself to tell yourself that story?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I
accountability
do,
part.
and it, honestly, and this is, I feel like I'm kind of on the spot a little bit, but I also feel that this is really helping. And I tell myself that stuff all the time. 5 minutes later, I'm out in the ether with my great ideas, you know,
Okay.
that they don't work.
Hey,
Well,
Paul, I
yes.
kind of struggle with her problem a little bit. I use Pomodoro app because, it breaks up 25-minute segments. And so it's an external thing forcing me to stay on task for 25 minutes. I feel like I can do anything 25 minutes, but that's really helped me a lot.
Okay, so you have a timer running in your life, so to speak, right? So and are you scheduled for 25-minute segments throughout your day?
Well, I do it one at a time because I
Okay.
would drive myself crazy otherwise.
Okay, so you work on one project and you give yourself the time to do it. So I love that idea. So there you go. There's another tool that's electronic. You know, you can also do this by being just committed to your clock. And what we're attempting to do now is to bring your focus away from things that distract you and get focused on something that you actually work on. So we can give you a tool for that too. When you have a piece of paper in front of you, I know that this world doesn't seem like that's the thing to do, but a piece of paper in front of you, that's all there is, and you can focus on that one thing. And it's not ringing at you, it's not flashing at you, and it's not changing the brain pattern, right? Our brains are very sensitive to light and sound and motion and all of these things that happen that we're built that way. It's fight or flight. It's that whole concept. It's awareness. It's protection. And so our primal self is really very reactive to a highly technological world. And when we bring it back down to a very primal place, like I'm looking at this one stone right now, I can murder my somebody with that stone, that and be safe. Is that we're taking this one stone or this tablet and focus on that piece of paper, keep it in where you can see it. I know, again, I get it, it sounds rudimentary. However, until you develop the habits, this is a good way to get there. Does that make sense? Right, so let me show you this too. And Robin, I'm going to come back to you. I appreciate you being bold and putting yourself out there. I do have a question I'm just going to ask you. You consider yourself to be a woman of her word overall. Is that true to, especially to other people?
A woman of the word of what?
Of your word to other people?
No,
No? Okay.
I actually don't. I usually say that I cannot promise. I don't promise anybody anything.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you give yourself the backdoor excuse.
basically, yeah.
Yeah. So you give
Yeah.
yourself so as opposed to being committed, I am setting myself up to be non-committed. So how does that help you with your business?
I avoid doing business because of that.
Explain that a little bit, please. I'm not sure if I follow that.
Well, in my personal life, I'll make plans with my buddies and stuff, and like the last minute, I flake on them. And that is, I don't know why I do that, but I do it. And so I don't want to do that to my clients. I mean, when I'm in it with my client, don't get me wrong, I am like all in. I'm really good at what I do. I really,
Okay.
really am. I just have that fear that I'm going to, screw up
Okay.
and flake or something, which I would never do on my client, but it is kind of like I don't want to say primal, but it's very irritating. Yeah.
Well, then there's only one thing I know. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but you just have to get over that, right? And just say, I'm committed. I said what I was going to do, and I'm going to do it. And, and hold yourself to that standard, and your client certainly would, right? So, but just get back in integrity with yourself is the point that we're making here, and trust yourself that you're going to do it.
Thank
That's
you.
your first place to come to. Trust myself, I'm going to do it. Let's see, share screen. Here is a paper version of what we're talking about tracking a little bit. Here's our time allotments throughout the day. How am I using my time? This is we all have the same amount of time, and we're not even sure what time really is. It's a very abstract context when we think about it, really. However, what am I doing? How am I allocating the time? Am I allocating my time to get results in my life that I would like to have? I can measure that. Now, transparency on my part so that I don't not be that person that's not in integrity. When you track this and measure your time in half-hour increments, it's amazing at the results that you start getting about yourself. How do I actually spend my time? Be true. If you're doing fake work, it's fake work. If you're goofing off, just say it's goofing off. It's for you to learn from. I've done this activity for about 4 days. This is something that we're supposed to do forever, every day, and I'm not really good at that. That's the truth. But when I do it for 4 days or 3 days or 2 days, I learn so much about myself, about what I'm avoiding, what I'm not doing, and it allows me to look at the changes that I can implement. Now, in addition to this, to stay on track, it's like, what did I do with the time to generate business? Am I showing properties? Am I making calls? Am I reaching out to people? And I would just suggest let's take the email thing off of here altogether, because that's not really a very productive way to communicate or create business. Good way to communicate, but not to create and drive business. This is all about creating a rhythm in your life that creates business. If I'm talking to my 15 people a day, am I getting that done? I'm going to measure it here. Some days I'm going to do 7, maybe other days I'm doing 22, but overall I'm reaching my goal of being able to talk to my 300 people every month for the next 90 days, if that's what yours is. And then when am I getting appointments? Am I sitting down and getting appointments? If I'm talking to a lot of people not getting appointments, it must be something I'm saying. It gives you a way to think about what you're doing in your business. If I'm getting appointments and I'm not getting any business, I'm not closing something. Another way to look at what you're doing in your business. If we're not measuring the activities that we're doing and the efforts that we put into our business, we have no idea the results we're getting from it or not. So we think that in our minds that everyone we talk to will do business with us right now. And the truth is, it's probably 1 out of every 20 people, maybe 1 out of every 30 people. You don't know your numbers yet because we don't track them. When you know it's 1 out of every 30 people that will get me an appointment, I know what I need to do today. Because what is my goal? Set an appointment with somebody. I need to talk to 30 people. That would get that moving. If I did that every day, I'd have 5 appointments a week. If I have 5 appointments a week and I get 2 people who are interested in moving it to the next level, that's 2 new pieces of business there for me. And if I get 1 under contract and I do that every single week, that's 4 new contracts in a month. If I get 2 of those contracts to close, it starts to make sense. And it's only taking me about 45 to 50 minutes to maybe get this done. It could take you an hour and a half. It may take you 3 hours. But what else are you doing? Goofing off, scrolling, social media, trying to figure out how to get that ad just right. What exactly are you doing? So when we're not focused on driving our business by making connections, that's what our business is about, and we're not measuring the activities, then we get lost in the world, and that's our distractions come in and takes us away. Does that make sense? Would you guys see these tools as being helpful for you? Some of you have seen these tools before. And to use them and actually implement them today and move you're here to learn something. And if you're here to learn something and then not use the tool, then you're here to be entertained. And the goal today is to give you a path to create some change in your business. Are you guys tracking with me? It's hard to tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Casey, thoughts?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, you know, Rick and I have done that 30-minute thing, and what I'm reminded by every time I do it is I always make time for the things that are most important to me. I will do them without needing accountability or without having to be asked about them. They just always happen no matter what. And so, uh, for me, it's like I look at this and can see it's like it's a question of where am I living in my how much am I living in the things that are within my highest values, and is what I'm doing professionally, to what extent is what I'm doing professionally aligned with where my values are at, um, you know, as one thing. And then the things that require the accountability and the structure, that like the outcomes of them, however, maybe don't like the activities of them so much, and how to create a different relationship around it.
Mm-hmm. Right. We don't like all the activities that we do to drive the things that we know we need to do in our business. But most of the time, those are short-lived. And it goes back to, I do not like the analogy, but I'm going to use it because we all know it. It goes back to eat the frog. Take on the stuff that's hardest to do and get it off your plate. Let's move on. Right. The more that we delve into it, the less likely we are to, or the more we delve into it, the more likely we are to get it accomplished. If we start talking about it in our heads and going, just put it off, it's not going to happen. It's like everything else. Just start it, make motion, get it forward. Easier said than done, people. I get it. That only you can do that. There is nothing else in this planet that can help change that except yourself. I got to get up, get committed, say I'm going to do this, and stop having the old story and bring my new story, because the old story is not getting me the things I want in my life. So why am I doing it? So it comes back to the value. Say that again.
I was going to say, I'm motivated by a reward. So if there's something that I know I should be doing, like making 30 phone calls a day, I don't get to have a second cup of coffee. I mean, it's little things, a second cup of coffee until I make those 30 phone calls. So once I make those 30 phone calls, I get my treat, which is a second cup of coffee or whatever it may be, to go get a pedicure or a massage if it's a bigger ticket item, that I'm putting off or procrastinating to do, because whether I don't like it or it's icky or I'm in fear, whatever the reason, it could be a variety of reasons. So I am definitely motivated by a reward. So sometimes when I just get so fed up with myself, I'm like, okay, you don't get to do X, Y, and Z until this particular task is done. And
Okay.
I'm inclined to do it with a reward attached to it.
And if that works for you, that's the perfect way to handle it. It's like, you know what? I got to do this. And I'm going to have my coffee. I got to do this. I'm going to go for my walk. That's really, really great. And then also allow yourself to be celebrated by the fact that you did the thing that you said that you were going to do. And just take a moment and give yourself total credit for owning that I did that, regardless of what the reward is. The reward actually is that I accomplished the thing that I said I was going to do, and celebrate it big time. Dance in the streets, go have an ice cream cone, whatever it is. That's great. But also don't overlook the fact that you made an investment for you and you grew from it, and give yourself credit for that. Right. So that's a great thing. I love all of the stuff about that idea. Let me go back to see where I'm at, make sure I can get everything done. We got just a few minutes, and I want to make sure that I give you one or two more things. Is my screen still being shared? There we go. Let's go back here. So scheduling is everything.
Reshare, Paul. It's not being shared.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So scheduling is everything. We need to make time in our day for all the things that we want to accomplish, right? This takes a moment of sitting down at the end of the day and revisiting at the beginning of the day. What do I want to do tomorrow? Is it on my schedule? Do I have it here? If it's not on my schedule, let me put it on my schedule to make sure I get it done. Everything that I put on my schedule becomes, if life interrupts it, meaning something happened, I'm unable to do it, whatever it is, I just move the time, not erase the time. Things on your schedule are purposeful. And so we have all these different things that we can be doing over here that you can build your schedule on and then follow the schedule. Some days it's going to be perfect. Some days not so perfect. Either way, it's moving the needle to where you want to go. And it's like, I didn't have a perfect day yesterday. What am I going to do about that today? Your accountability partner, Robin, whoever you have by next Wednesday, your accountability partner is going to be looking at your schedule, saying, did you follow your schedule? Looking at the activities of did you get them completed and what got in the way if they didn't. There's no judgment other than that.
How do you use that options column?
When you actually download this piece here, you can write anything in it that you want, but when you actually download this piece here, these all become drop-down menus in here. See, and then you can choose anything that's over here, so you can change the timing on it, whatever it looks like. Does that make sense? So that's how this works, and you can change these over here too, but follow the process of, are these things getting me where I want to go? Or write in the thing that you want to get me where I want to go, right? So you can write in what it is if it's not over here as a category for you. So it becomes very simple. And we want to repeat this or work on repeating this from week to week to week. If you're struggling right now with a lot of conflict and getting to things, work on just getting the first 2 or 3 hours of your day worked out. Get consistency with the first 2 or 3 hours of your day, and then start to work on the next part of your day. We don't have to do this all at once. So changing behavior takes a little bit of the time. I encourage you to be gentle with yourself, but purposeful at the same time. Gentle and purposeful. So if it doesn't happen, it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Can I do better, or will I do better is the question. And will I do better? Yes or no? Does that make sense? So all of these pieces today are short, simple processes that can be put in front of yourself that you can look at and say, where am I? And so when I'm squirreling off, or kid runs in and they have a question, or your significant other has a demand on you that just came at that moment in time, whatever is happening, is that you have this place to come back and say, no, where was I? I was right here. Pick up and move forward. Without knowing where you were at, it's hard to pick up. That's where we squirrel, and then 3 days goes by and we go, oh my God, I didn't do that. Because without a completion, it rattles around in your head and it wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You go, oh, I didn't do that. That's the thing that rattles around up there. Okay, so that's my presentation, like talking about this. Do you have questions, thoughts? What's your feedback? What's your fears around implementing these ideas?
My hardest part is how strategies and techniques are ever changing, and like we have like the NAR settlement where forms are changing and other things are changing, and the way that we approach clients are changing. Implementing all of that into my already routine, which I'm very much a creature of habit in what I do. And so trying to implement all these new things in my already existing busy schedule, and I hate that word busy, but my already full schedule, I'll say, that's the part that gets me, because it seems like everything is equally important, but I know it's not. But there's a impression of urgency or importance that I tend to put on everything. So I have a hard time figuring out prioritizing.
Okay, so when you write it down, then you'll be able to prioritize, right?
Okay.
Learning is part of our day. So the NAR settlement, the DOJ stuff, the changing of formats and contracts, and that, okay, we have no control over that. That's outside of us. So all we have to do is to learn it and navigate it. And we're always learning and navigating new things all the time. And so let's not get caught up in the fear of like, oh my God, this is a lot all at once. It's like, it is what it is. And so if I spend 15 or 20 minutes a day working on learning this. Over a period of a week, you've got an hour, hour and a half tied up in learning. Right? So we have a tendency to want to focus and get it all learned at one time. And that's a demand on time. So that's going to be 4 or 5 hours of learning. Okay, let's schedule it in and get focused on where does this go on my day? When is the best time for you to learn things, Debbie?
Morning.
Morning. Okay, so that's like get up, take care of yourself, take care of your spirit, your wholeness, your physical beingness, feed yourself, all of that sort of stuff. Smile a little bit, and then do some learning for 20, 30 minutes and put it down on the time frame, and you'll pick it up tomorrow at the same place.
Okay.
Right? So, and just make a list of what you want to get accomplished and just focus on that. When you're squirreling, I'm squirreling right now, stop, come back. It's only for 20 or 25 minutes. I can do anything for 20 or 25 minutes, I think Carla said. Right? So, and I believe that's true for all of us. Our time frames may be different. You know, I can do it for 15 minutes. That's your window. Do that for 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Will I be able to listen to the recording of this, I hope? The replay?
I think so, but that's really a question for Casey and Selena. But I think it's on your Empire Builders Pro place where you go and you see that. I believe that's where it's at. Is that true?
Yes. So let me just show you where you will find that recording. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Just confirming I can share my screen. So let me pull it up. So are you guys able to see my screen?
No,
Not
you're
yet.
not sharing yet.
I have the low unstable network thing going on. Okay. There we go. So if you go to Empire Builders Pro under resources and the live training schedule, you'll see all
Casey,
the
it's not
calls, and
sharing.
under each of them, access call recordings. So there's the Free Friday coaching call, and that's where all the Free Friday coaching call recordings are housed.
Yeah, Casey, your screen's not sharing. You want me to
Thank
share mine?
you.
I do have to say that I do watch a lot of those. I do the Empire Pro and
Okay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they're really helpful. And for me, I just have to keep like listening and listening and listening because I guess I could put that on like one of my 3 things I do.
Yeah.
But that's like one of those natural things I feel like doing.
You're learning based, and this is where you're going to get your education and your knowledge from. It's one of the places that you go to. Fantastic. You know, just schedule that in. And what I love about this particular platform, and I'm not as familiar with it as I can be, is it's a simple place to come and learn a lot, right? It just there's a lot of information there that's very helpful to your business. And oftentimes we squirrel around and that becomes our distraction. And in truth, you could probably come back and start with Empire Builders Pro and take care of a lot of what you're looking for. That's going to be my guess. And if not, you put in a word and maybe Empire Builders Pro can develop that piece out that can be a resource leader. So I don't know exactly how all that works, but it's an amazing system. So plug into it for sure. And as you're building, you know, if you're building your business or something like that, it's a great tool for that piece. So, alrighty.
All right. Well, Paul, I want to thank you so much for your insights and wisdom and being here with us today. I think if anything, my takeaway from today's call is how much I have an addiction to distraction. And that is, you know, that is probably fueled by this little tool that every 15 seconds wants me doing something different. And so that, you know, or that my attention goes somewhere else. And so for me, a check in on screen time, right? Because even working, whether that's computer or phone, and getting more accountable to self around where that is and choosing to stay focused versus allowing the distractions to take over. So thank you so much, and for the tools and resources that you brought your perspective on and sharing. And of course, we've got this call that will be in the recording house for everybody that wants to go back and see it. So thank you so much for being with us, everyone, today. And Paul, we'll look forward to having you back. And we have updated your bio now. Beth pointed out that it's 30 years of marriage. Somewhere it said 23. So 7 years got lost in distraction somewhere. I'm not sure how that happened, but hopefully it was a fun distraction of 7 years. So
It flew by. We lost track of time.
it flew.
Please send a note to workmen
All
to
right.
update
We
your bio.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you on the first week of the first Friday of next month for our next call. Make it a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Hi, guys.